He stood at the edge, phone raised for a perfect shot. One shove, one scream, and the secret no one knew, the man he pushed was his own brother. If this shook you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the truth that follows changes everything. The sun beat down on the University of Lagos campus as students rushed through the gates with boxes and dreams. Among them was Kevwe, tall and lean, carrying everything he owned in one worn duffel bag. His clothes were faded but clean. His shoes had seen better days, but his eyes burned with determination. He found his hostel room, small, hot, 2 beds. He chose the one by the window and sat down. Finally, university, a chance to become something, to escape the poverty that chased him like a shadow. The door burst open. In walked Jonathan, surrounded by 3 porters carrying designer luggage. He wore an expensive watch, name-brand sneakers. His phone was the latest model. He looked around the room and his face twisted in disgust. "This is where I'm supposed to stay?" Jonathan said, to no one in particular. "My father will hear about this." Kevwe stood up. "I'm Kevwe, your roommate." Jonathan barely glanced at him. "Great, just stay out of my way." From that first moment, the war began. Her name was Amirah. She walked into the lecture hall like sunshine breaking through clouds, beautiful, smart, and kind. Every guy noticed her, but Amirah didn't notice them. She was focused on her studies, her future, her dreams. Until she met Kevwe. He was different, quiet, serious. When he spoke in class, his words carried weight. He worked 3 part-time jobs to pay for books and food. He never asked anyone for help. She admired that strength. They started talking after classes, then walking together to the library, then sharing meals at the cheap food stalls near campus. Kevwe felt something he'd never felt before. Hope, love, a future beyond survival. But Jonathan noticed Amirah too. With his money and charm, he tried everything. Expensive gifts, dinner invitations, rides in his father's car. But Amirah politely declined each time. "I'm not interested in things," she told him one day. "I'm interested in substance." Jonathan's ego burned. No girl had ever rejected him, and the fact that she seemed interested in his broke roommate made it worse, much worse. The rivalry between the roommates grew darker. Weeks passed. Kevwe and Amirah became inseparable. They studied together, laughed together, dreamed together. Jonathan watched from a distance, jealousy eating him alive. How could she choose that nobody over him, the son of Senator Obi? A nobody with nothing? One evening, Kevwe came back to the room to find his bed soaked with water, his notebooks ruined. Jonathan sat on his own bed, smirking. "Oops, the window was open. Must have rained in." Kevwe said nothing. He cleaned up and slept on the floor that night. But something inside him was changing. The constant humiliation, the mocking, the way Jonathan flaunted his wealth while Kevwe scrubbed toilets to survive. One Friday, Amirah mentioned she was going hiking with friends to Eagle's Cliff, a popular spot overlooking the city. Jonathan immediately invited himself. So did Kevwe. The cliff was beautiful, dangerous. A narrow path led to the edge where you could see everything. Kevwe's mind raced. What if Jonathan wasn't around anymore? What if there was an accident? No one would know. No one would suspect. The group was ahead. Jonathan stood alone near the edge, taking photos for Instagram. Kevwe approached quietly. His heart pounded. His hands trembled. This was wrong. He knew it was wrong. But jealousy whispered louder than reason. "Nice view, isn't it?" Kevwe said. Jonathan barely looked at him. "What do you want?" "Just wanted to talk, man to man." Jonathan laughed. "We're not the same kind of men." Kevwe stepped closer. Jonathan turned. For a moment, their eyes met. Then Kevwe pushed. Jonathan's scream cut through the air. His body tumbled down the rocky cliff face, hitting rocks, disappearing into the bushes below. Kevwe stood frozen. What had he done? The group came running. "Where's Jonathan?" Kevwe said, forcing his voice steady. "He was taking photos. He must have slipped. He went over the edge." Panic erupted. Someone called the police. Search teams scrambled down the dangerous slope. But night was falling. The search was called off until morning. Kevwe walked back to campus in silence, Amirah beside him, crying. He held her hand, his stomach twisting with guilt and sick relief. Far below the cliff, hidden in thick brush, Jonathan lay broken. His leg was twisted, his ribs screamed with pain, blood covered his face, but he was alive. An old man, a local herbalist named Papa Genga, who gathered plants in the area, heard the scream. He found Jonathan just as night fell. "Help me," Jonathan whispered. Papa Genga didn't have a phone, but he had a wheelbarrow for his plants. Carefully, painfully, he loaded Jonathan and pushed him 3 kilometers to the nearest hospital. The doctors worked through the night. Broken leg, fractured ribs, concussion, internal bleeding, but Jonathan survived. When he woke 2 days later, he couldn't remember what happened. The fall, the moment before, it was all blank. "You're very lucky," the doctor said. "If that old man hadn't found you, you would have died." Jonathan stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks. His father, the senator, flew in briefly, but had to return for important business. He left money and guards. Meanwhile, on campus, Jonathan was presumed dead. The university held a memorial. Students who'd never spoken to him cried. Amirah felt terrible guilt for not liking him more. And Kevwe? Kevwe held Amirah close and whispered that everything would be okay. They became official, boyfriend and girlfriend. In his mind, Kevwe had won. But guilt followed him like a ghost, every night, every moment alone. The memory of pushing Jonathan haunted him. 6 weeks after the fall, Jonathan returned to campus. The hostel went silent when they walked in. Students stared like they'd seen a ghost. He walked with a cane, his face had scars, but he was alive. Kevwe was in the room when the door opened. He looked up and his blood turned to ice. "Hey, roommate," Jonathan said quietly. "Miss me?" "Jonathan, everyone thought, that you were dead," Jonathan said, sitting down slowly. "Almost was. Don't remember much about that day, just falling. The doctor said someone might have been near me before I fell, but I can't remember." Kevwe's hands shook. Must have been terrifying. It was. Being that close to death changes you. Makes you think about what matters, what doesn't. Word spread fast. Jonathan was back. Within hours, students came to welcome him. Amirah came too. She stood in the doorway, Kevwe beside her, holding her hand. Jonathan saw them, saw their linked fingers, saw how close they stood. His face fell. "Oh, you two are together," Kevwe said, pulling Amirah closer. "Yes." Amirah looked uncomfortable. "Jonathan, I'm so glad you're okay. We were all so worried." "Thanks," Jonathan said quietly. "That means a lot." He turned away, pretending to unpack, but his chest hurt worse than his ribs ever did. The girl he'd wanted had chosen his enemy. Again. Days passed. Jonathan tried to act normal, but seeing Kevwe and Amirah together on campus killed him slowly. Kevwe, meanwhile, felt no relief from Jonathan's return, only growing paranoia. What if Jonathan remembered? What if he figured it out? And deeper still, a poisonous jealousy. Jonathan was back, wounded, sympathetic. Amirah kept checking on him, bringing him food, asking how he was healing.
"You're spending a lot of time with him," Kevwe said one evening. "He almost died, Kevwe. I'm just being kind. He has plenty of money for food. He doesn't need your help." Amirah pulled away. "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?" Kevwe didn't answer, because the truth was unspeakable. One night, unable to sleep, Kevwe made a decision. Jonathan had to go, for good this time. He began planning. Poison? Too obvious. Another accident? Maybe a fire in the room while Jonathan slept. He was researching online when his phone buzzed. A message from his aunt, the one who raised him after his mother died. "Kevwe, I need to tell you something important. About your father. Call me." Kevwe called. His aunt's voice was shaking. "I should have told you years ago. Your father, he's still alive. He's a politician, a senator." Kevwe's world tilted. "What? Who?" "Senator Obi." The phone nearly slipped from Kevwe's hand. That's Jonathan's father." "Yes, baby. You and Jonathan are half-brothers. Your father had an affair with your mother years ago, then abandoned us when she got pregnant. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way." Kevwe sat in the dark room staring at Jonathan's sleeping form in the other bed. His brother. His brother. The person he tried to kill was his own blood. Kevwe couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The guilt that had haunted him before now crushed him completely. He'd tried to murder his own brother over a girl, over jealousy, over pride. He watched Jonathan struggle to walk with his cane, watched him wince in pain, pain that Kevwe had caused. One evening, Kevwe knocked on Jonathan's side of the room divider they'd put up. "Can we talk?" Jonathan looked surprised. "Sure." Kevwe sat down. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. "I need to tell you something about what happened at the cliff." Jonathan's expression changed. "What about it?" "You didn't fall. I pushed you." Silence, heavy, suffocating. Jonathan stared at him. "What?" "I was jealous. You had everything, money, status, and Amirah liked me, but I was so angry at you for trying to take her. So when you were standing at the edge, I pushed you. I tried to kill you." Jonathan stood up, his cane clattering to the floor. "You what?" "And there's more." Tears streamed down Kevwe's face. "We're brothers, half-brothers. Senator Obi is my father too. He abandoned my mother when she was pregnant with me." Jonathan stumbled back. "No, that's not possible." "Call him. Ask him about a woman named Amirah, my mother. He'll confirm it." Jonathan's breathing was rapid. His face shifted through shock, anger, betrayal, disbelief. "Get out," he whispered. "Jonathan, get out." Jonathan's voice broke. "You tried to kill me. You're the reason I nearly died. Brother or not, I never want to see you again." Kevwe left the room. He went straight to Amirah. Amirah listened to everything, the push, the brotherhood, the guilt. Her face went pale. "You pushed him off a cliff?" "I know, I'm a monster. I've been living with it every day." "You let everyone think it was an accident. You held me while I cried about his death, and you were the one who caused it?" Her voice rose. "How could you?" "I was jealous. I was wrong. I'm so sorry." "Sorry?" Amirah stood up. "Jonathan almost died, Kevwe. He could have died. And you used me. You got close to me while hiding what you did." "I love you." "Don't." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't even know who you are." She walked away. Kevwe stood alone in the empty corridor. He'd lost everything. The girl, his brother, his self-respect. Amirah went to Jonathan's room. He was sitting on his bed, staring at nothing. "He told you," Jonathan said without looking up. "Yes." "My father confirmed it. Kevwe is my brother, my broke, jealous, murderous brother." Amirah sat down carefully. "I'm so sorry, Jonathan, for everything." "Why are you apologizing? You didn't push me off a cliff." "No, but I dismissed you. I thought you were just a spoiled rich kid. I didn't see past the surface." Jonathan finally looked at her. His eyes were red. "And now?" "Now I see someone who survived something terrible, someone stronger than I gave him credit for." They talked for hours, about pain, about family, about betrayal, about second chances. And somewhere in that conversation, something shifted. The connection Amirah had been afraid to acknowledge before,
the kindness underneath Jonathan's ego, the vulnerability behind his wealth. "I liked you from the start," Jonathan admitted. "I just had a terrible way of showing it." "I think I liked you too," Amirah said quietly. "I just didn't want to admit it." Their hands found each other. Outside the window, Kevwe watched them. His heart broke again, but this time he knew he deserved it. The next morning, Kevwe packed his bag, the same worn duffel bag he'd arrived with. Jonathan found him. "You're leaving?" "It's better this way. Running doesn't change what you did." "I know, but staying here, watching you two, knowing I can never fix this," Kevwe's voice cracked. "I can't do it. I'm transferring to another school." Jonathan said nothing for a long moment. "You're still my brother, somewhere under all this mess. Maybe one day I can forgive you, but not today." "I understand." Kevwe held out his hand. Jonathan didn't take it, but he nodded. That afternoon, Kevwe left the University of Lagos. He left behind the girl he loved, the brother he'd betrayed, the life he'd tried to build on a foundation of lies. Weeks passed. Jonathan's physical scars faded. The emotional ones would take longer. He and Amirah grew closer. Their relationship was different from what she'd had with Kevwe. More honest, more equal. Jonathan learned to be less arrogant. Amirah learned to see beyond surfaces. One day, Jonathan received a letter from Kevwe. "Brother, I'm at a different school now, smaller, quieter. I'm seeing a counselor about my jealousy and anger issues. I'm working to become someone better. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that pushing you off the cliff was the worst thing I've ever done, and knowing you're my brother makes it even worse. I hope you and Amirah are happy. She deserves someone better than I was. Maybe you can be that person. One day, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Your brother, Kevwe." Jonathan folded the letter and put it in his drawer, not ready to respond, but not ready to throw it away. Amirah saw him looking at it. "Will you ever forgive him?" "I don't know," Jonathan answered honestly, "but maybe someday." She kissed his cheek. "That's enough for now." Outside, campus life continued. Students rushed to classes, friends laughed, couples held hands, and somewhere in the middle of it all, Jonathan and Amirah walked together, building something new from the broken pieces of what came before.